Folks, unfortunately, the beta for Marvel Tokon Fighting Souls just ended. We are out of time with the game for now, but I think in the short amount of time we had to play it, the game really impressed me with a lot of the ways that it's designed and executed. And today I wanted to talk about some of those things, the list of things that I think this game is really doing right, which I think there are some things that really impressed me about the game, but it's not perfect. There are some things that I thought were a little bit off-putting as well, so I'm going to cover both aspects here and talk about the things the game did really right and the things that it did wrong. And if you guys want to see more Tokon content once we have the chance, and if you want to see more 2xKO content, because the beta for that is starting tomorrow, please like and subscribe. It really, really helps me out if you could just take a second and do that. But with that, let's jump into the list of things that it does right to start here. Okay, so first up, I think one of the things that stood out to me the most picking up this game was it is very, very intuitive, easy to pick up. The game feels natural in your hands. To me, it felt very, very smooth and easy to start having fun with. I think especially the movement is one of the big strong points of the game. Just dashing around the screen, air dashing, flying, all that stuff, double jumping. It just all feels very fast, very fluid, and very fun. There are a couple things that I think are unintuitive about the game that maybe I'll talk about later, but for the most part, I think anyone picking up this game as their first fighting game will find it very easy to get going with. I think they did a great job of just making the game feel right to play. And speaking of, making the game accessible and easy for people to pick up to play, number two is I think they did a great job with the implementation of simple inputs in the game. I think compared to games like 2xKO or Hunter x Hunter, where you have no choice, you must play with single button inputs, sometimes that's just not fun. I mean, for boomers like me, we kind of like doing the special move motions and we want to have an incentive to do them, so I like that when you do the actual motions, you do get a damage buff. But for, newer players who don't want to bother with it, or if you just need to get like a Dragon Punch out instantly, you have that button. And the controls don't take that many buttons. You can easily play the game, I believe, with 5 buttons, which is very low. But of course, if you want access to 1-button dash and 1-button special, that's like 7 buttons. But on stick, you can dash with light plus medium. So I don't really think you need a 1-button dash button. So unlike a lot of games now that are coming out that need like 8 buttons, yeah, the fact that, this game can be played with 5 or 6 is really nice, especially for those of us who play on stick. It feels like this game actually plays great on stick, which can't be said of a lot of other new fighting games. All right, number 3 thing I think this game nailed is the whole assemble mechanic. If you guys don't know, this is probably the big gimmick of the game, is that you start the round only having access to 2 characters. And then every time you get a wall break or every time you lose a round, you unlock your next character, and that means you unlock another assist, you unlock another character you can tag into, you also get increased health, increased meter, and some other bonuses for assembling your team. And I didn't really know how much I would like this mechanic. It's kind of the opposite of how most tag games work. Usually in a tag game, you start out with access to everything, and then your characters die off, and you kind of get weaker as you lose characters. But this, you start off very weak, and you kind of have to put a little effort in to get strong and get to max power, having your full team available. And overall, I think that this system is very, very fun. I think it's very well thought out, the way they put it together. I was surprised by how much I enjoyed the feeling and the pacing of starting the round out only having access to 2, and then as you go, it's like, ooh, I'm getting stronger. And the last assist you unlock, your assist 3, is always like a unique assist. It's always something that does something very specific to the character, like Dr. Doom calling down his laser, Storm pulling you with the wind, that kind of thing. So I like when you unlock that last assist, it really feels like your team changes because now you have something super unique to play with. So I think this mechanic is really cool. I had a ton of fun with it, and it really is refreshing compared to other tag games that are kind of all just doing the same thing, all just iterating on the Marvel vs. Capcom formula. This game is trying something new, and I think they thought it out really, really well, so I really like it. All right, number 4 thing I think they did right is the characters feel very differentiated. So this was maybe my biggest complaint with Dragon Ball FighterZ. Dragon Ball FighterZ was a game I liked a lot, but one issue I kind of had with it was the characters play very similar to each other. Like, at the end of the day, everyone has like a ki blast on that button. Like, half the characters have Kamehameha. You know, everyone has very similar routes for like basic B and Bs and stuff, which it's true to a degree in this game. You know, obviously there's auto combo as well, so everyone can do that. Everyone can kind of do similar launcher combos, but because this game has like the unique attack button, very similar to BlazBlue, it's like a character specific mechanic that is on one button. Immediately you feel the difference between the characters. Like, immediately I'm like, oh, Iron Man can flight cancel his attacks. That's like his unique strength, and he feels so different to play from the rest of the cast because of that. Or like Storm, it's like, wait, I can push and pull things with the wind. I can move my projectiles around the screen. Immediately, you just start scheming, you know, how am I going to make this character work, which I think is really, really great. And yeah, it feels a lot more different between the characters than a game like Dragon Ball FighterZ. So I think they did a really good job with that, and I can't wait to see what other characters we get added to the game and see how they're going to, you know, add those kinds of differences to new and returning Marvel characters. So awesome job with that. All right, next up, number 5. I kind of feel like this one goes without saying, but I think the graphics and sound in this game are just 11 out of 10. It's one of the best looking fighting games I've ever seen, and low-key, I think the sound is really good as well. I don't see a lot of people talking about it. The music in this game, overall, I really like. There was one track I didn't like in the game. I believe it was Dr. Doom's track I didn't really like, but everyone else's songs I really like, especially Ms. Marvel had my favorite track in the game. And then something else that people don't usually talk about positively, they usually only notice it when they're bad, is actually the hit sound effects in this game are really good. Like, if you just watch gameplay footage of this game, the hit sound effects are really, really satisfying, and they're very different per character. So, like, hitting someone with Iron Man almost sounds like shooting a gun. It's, like, so metallic and powerful. Whereas hitting someone with Storm, you know, it kind of makes sense that it feels, like, lighter. It feels more like a physical punch or kick. So, yeah, I think the sound design and obviously the visuals, ArcSys visuals, just they've been nailing it out of the park pretty much since like Guilty Gear Xrd. Their 3D graphics have been the best in the business. I think, you know, Dragon Ball FighterZ and Strive maybe have a little bit more wow factor in this game in terms of like their animations. In this game, the characters have a bit more of like an action figure look. I don't feel like they feel as like fluid and expressive as they do in Strive, but you know, other than that, I think, yeah, the graphics are obviously really beautiful, and the character redesigns really stand out. Like, it's crazy. They didn't have to go and redesign every single character. They could have just used their standard, like, comic book look, but no, they went the extra mile. So shout-outs to ArcSys for continuing to make the best-looking fighting games on the market, in my opinion. All right, and the last thing I wanted to talk about in terms of positives is the online, I thought, worked really well. I mean, I guess, do we have to say this for new games anymore? I guess some games do launch with not very good online, but in my experience, the online was quite good in this game if you get people with green bars. When I had yellow bars, which was like 3 out of 5, I did have some laggy matches. And also, there is a Wi-Fi indicator in the game, so I just started avoiding people with Wi-Fi, and I avoided any match where I saw a glimpse of yellow. Like, if it was going between green and yellow, I was like, no, but if it was steady green, I matched them, and yeah, all my matches that had green bars were like perfect online. And I played Chicago to California multiple times and didn't have any problems. So yeah, I feel like ArcSys games, they have finally kind of gotten the online right. You know, I think Strive was one of the first really big like AAA fighting games with good rollback, and it seems like they're only getting better. So yeah, for a fast-paced game like this, you need to have good rollback, and it seems like they're doing a good job. But that's the last one of the positives that I wanted to talk about. Now, I just have a few negatives here that were things that are maybe my issues with the game right now, but we'll have to see you know, whether these change before launch or whether these are just growing pains of trying a new game. But yeah, these are the negatives for how I felt about Marvel Tokon. Okay, so the first negative, I did say that the game is very intuitive and easy to pick up and play, and I think that is true for 90% of the things in the game. But the 10% that is weird, the 10% that feels wrong and unintuitive, largely centers around calling assists and tagging. So if you're used to a game like Dragon Ball or Marvel vs. Capcom, and those, you can call assists and tag like whenever you want, especially Dragon Ball. You can like tag in the middle of attacks, you can tag in the air, you can tag out of like anything. You can always swap between your characters. It's very, very free form, and just pressing the assist button at any time will just get you an assist, or holding it will make you tag. This game is a lot more restrictive. There are a lot of times where you can't call an assist and you can't tag, and the game, I feel, doesn't really give you feedback on why that is. Like, if you're recovering from an attack, you pretty much just can't call an assist. If you blocked something like half a second ago, you can't call an assist. Even though you're no longer blocking, you're locked out of calling the assist. So the assist button feels unresponsive a lot of the time, because you're like, wait, I couldn't call an assist there? And because they have, you know, the normal assists, which are assists that you do when you're on the ground in neutral, those assists don't cost any resources. You can just do it whenever. But there are like the mid-attack assists, which are the ones that like you do during a combo or a block string, and those do cost a meter. It's very unintuitive how it's like sometimes it's like, wait, I have to let myself go back to neutral so that I can call the assist that I want. Like I have to stop my pressure, go back to neutral, and then I can call my, you know, Dr. Doom laser assist or something. Yeah, to me that took a lot of getting used to, and I still never really got used to it. I like rarely called assists or tagged during this beta outside of combos, because I just didn't know when I was allowed to do it. Like, I would press the assist button and nothing would happen. I didn't really understand what was going on. So that to me is by far the most unintuitive part of the game, and I hope they can take steps to make it feel more like Dragon Ball, where, you know, you don't have to be just freeform tagging all over the place. And I know they probably don't want like crazy assist extensions that make TOD combos and stuff like that, but just make it feel like it's more freeform and that you're more in control of the game, rather than the game very tightly controlling when you're allowed to use the team mechanics. Okay, number 2 issue I had with the game. Yes, the characters are very different from each other, which I think is a positive, but one problem I had was there is like a big discrepancy in terms of like character interest, in my opinion. People might get upset at me, but I thought certain characters felt very cool and like they had a lot of depth, and, you know, you can explore them for a long time and find new stuff, whereas other characters felt overly simple and like they didn't really have very much going on. So like Storm and Iron Man were the 2 characters that I was like, wow, these characters have a lot going on. They feel very creative, very cool, and they really appealed to me. Star-Lord as well, I think, has a lot going on, because he has like his gun system where you can switch elements. Whereas Captain America and Ms. Marvel, I thought felt very simple. They didn't really appeal to me, because when I was playing them, I was like, oh, I figured out everything that this character can do in like 5 seconds, because they don't really have like super unique mechanics, which I know this could be an intentional design to a degree, right? Like in a game, you want characters that are good for beginners and characters that are good for experienced players. I totally agree with that, but I just think that certain characters could have a bit more going on. And when we have this unique button that's like, you know, your character unique button, you know, Dr. Doom, for example, his character unique button could basically be a special move. It's just he puts out the moving shield. There's no real reason for that to be tied to a unique button. Compared to like Storm moving the wind, it feels very unique, and, you know, holding the different directions change the direction the wind goes in. Whereas Dr. Doom, like his shield, it's like, yeah, this could just be a special move. It doesn't really feel unique enough to set the character apart. So yeah, that again, you guys might disagree with me, and I know a lot of people did have fun with Ms. Marvel and Captain America. I mean, I think they're fun characters to play, but I just don't feel like they have the level of depth that was displayed in some of the other members of the cast. All right, number 3 issue that I had with the game is the balancing of damage. So I definitely get the impression, again, they don't want this to be a touch of death game. They don't want this to be a game where you get hit and you watch a 40-second combo and lose like your entire life bar. Which I totally understand, right? They want beginners to pick up this game, people who have never played fighting games before, have never played team games. They want to pick up this game, but I felt like you don't really get enough damage from your long combos compared to how much work it is when you can just press auto combo and do more damage. Auto combos do a lot of damage. compared to like, doing like a full launcher combo and that kind of stuff. So obviously we didn't have training mode, so we couldn't really optimize. But I do feel like if you're working hard to do a good combo, especially like if you're involving assists and stuff like that, you should get rewarded more than if you're just pressing light over and over. And auto combos break the wall too, so you get another assist. So yeah, auto combos just seem really strong. So maybe nerf auto combo damage. Also, the fact that you can whiff auto combos, I personally find a little annoying. I found that annoying in Dragon Ball FighterZ as well. They're probably not going to change that because they never changed it in Dragon Ball. But yeah, that's another thing I didn't really love, was whiffing auto combos, just moving across the screen by pressing LLL. So maybe a slight auto combo nerf is in order. All right, and the last thing is the lobby. Are you guys surprised to hear that I don't like an Arc System Works lobby? I mean, it's definitely a little more functional than Guilty Gear Strive. Here, let me actually go to some footage of the lobby here. Okay, so here's my problem, right? Like, when I'm playing a fighting game online, I just want to find matches quickly. I want the percentage of time I spend finding a match and the percentage of time I spend in the match. I want to be in the match way more. And again, like all these ArcSys lobbies just don't do a very good job of that. So like you have to run around, you try to find like the one person in the lobby who's not already in a match. And sometimes there'll be like someone standing in front of a cabinet, but they're not like using the cabinet, but everyone assumes that they're standing there. So if you get on the other side of the cabinet, no one will ever play with you because there's this guy standing there. They assume you're already playing him. So that was annoying. And like, yeah, there's no button that you can press that's just like, hey, find another person in the lobby that's not playing anyone and put me against them. There's no button for that. There's a player list where you can see people who are currently waiting at cabinets and you can teleport to them. But what if they're not waiting at a cabinet? Which a lot of people aren't. They're running around trying to find the cabinet that has other people waiting at it. So they're not waiting. So when you pull up the player list, that doesn't help you get into a match. So like every time a 1st at 3 ended, the way the beta worked is that you would hop in a match and you would play 1st at 3, and then it would send you back to the lobby. And every time the 1st at 3 ended, I was just filled with dread because I was like, oh god, I'm gonna have to find another match. It's gonna be such a pain. Even when the lobby has like 64 out of 64 people, 95% of the people in that lobby are in matches already. They're playing 1st at 3s. So it's like, am I gonna wait for this guy to play like a 20-minute match before I can play anyone? It's very frustrating. So yes, I'm sure in the final game they will have real matchmaking, and I'm sure they will have like real ranked like Strive has now. I mean, fingers crossed. Strive didn't have ranked for like 4 years or whatever, so maybe they'll make the same mistake here, but I hope not. I'm sure it's probably going to be like Dragon Ball FighterZ, where you can just say, queue me up for ranked, and it'll search the whole world for whoever else is searching for ranked. Because yeah, like the lobbies, it's fun. Making your little avatar and stuff like that. Like, it's cool, but at the end of the day, I just want to get into matches. I don't want the whole rigmarole of running around looking for people. So, yeah, hopefully in the final game, we can just get into matches quickly. But that was the last thing I had to complain about. Overall, very positive impressions of this beta. It's going to be really hard to wait to play this again. It's going to be really difficult, but yeah, hopefully we'll all survive, and at least we have 2XKO to keep us company. The beta for that is starting tomorrow, and it's just going to go on forever. If you guys don't know, the 2XKO beta is just going to stay open until they finally say, okay, the game's releasing. It's 1.0 now. So yeah, we'll have a lot of fun with that. Hopefully you guys are down to watch some 2XKO videos. I'll be sure to upload a lot of them starting tomorrow. And with that, we're going to end the video. Let me know, do you guys agree with my points? Do you think I'm being overly critical, overly effusive? Let me know in the comments. And with that, we're going to end the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.